It's the buzzword, it's all happening. What are flow states? How can you create flow states? On today's episode. Hello everyone, whether you're an NBA athlete, whether you're a politician, whether you're at work doing Excel spreadsheets, everyone's talking about flow. Everyone's talking about this new science of being present and being in flow states, and it's being studied by scientists all around the world. It's the number one tool for reaching your true self. And it makes me laugh because it's 3,000 years old. Flow states were completely understood by Lao Tzu, Buddha, Socrates, you name it. They understood flow states and they were doing it. More than understanding, they were doing it. So as always, we begin with a quote, and that quote is, "Control of consciousness determines the quality of life." Control of consciousness determines the quality of life. Most enjoyable activities are not natural. They demand an effort that initially one is reluctant to make. But once the interaction starts to provide feedback to the person's skills, it usually begins to be intrinsically rewarding. Here's the reality. Don't wish it was easier, wish it were better. That is the hero's journey. We go through this life, this karmic journey where we're manipulating our DNA and epigenetics and passing it on to our children or the environment around us to become better. And you only become better through obstacles, and the obstacles are the way. I know this intrinsically. I remember when I first started playing basketball, I wasn't good, other people were better, and I pretty much wanted to give up pretty early. But as I started noticing things about myself, being able to jump a little bit higher, hit a few more shots, beat a few guys one-on-one that previously I never thought I could, it became very rewarding. And then, the more and more I practice, every once in a while I have a 30-point game. And for me, when I think about those 30-point games, I think about everything absolutely going smoothly, not thinking about anything, not overthinking, and just allowing it to happen. And when people say, geez, you played really hard, you scored 30 points, quite often I think, actually, I didn't play hard at all. I just was there, I was flowing, I was part of the game, I was the game, and that's how it happened. And as I started to notice this, the idea of, you've got to work hard for this reason or work hard for that reason, I started to understand there's more to it. It's much more involved in flow and enjoying your work that it isn't hard and stubborn work. So how do we get control of flow state? How do we bring them to our lives? Well, number one, when you're completely involved in what you're doing and completely focused and concentrated. Half-assed jobs aren't going to bring you to flow state. Completely dropping your insecurities and getting involved in the moment is what will start the activation of the flow state. Number two, in the flow state, there's a sense of ecstasy of being outside the everyday reality. And I tell you what, on those basketball courts, it felt like a dream. It felt surreal. Everything seemed in slow motion. Number three, there's a greater inner clarity. You know what needs to be done, and you get immediate feedback on how well you're doing. Quite often when people are talking about being in flow states, whether it's Major League Baseball players or basketball players, they talk about they couldn't hear the crowd. They couldn't hear the instructions. That inner clarity, that inner vision was driving them forward. Number four, you know that the activity is doable, that you've had the necessary skills to complete the task successfully. This is the beautiful thing about training. This is the beautiful thing about working hard, because you know once you've put in the hard work, in the moment, which is the only time you'll ever need it, it will be available for you, those skills. Number five, you lose your sense of self and all your worries and concerns drift away. Basketball for me is like meditation. I am thinking of nothing but the angles, the ball, the defense. That's where I'm at right now. And my sense of self disappears. In fact, sometimes, negatively, sometimes I might say things or get so competitive that's not my normal me. It's because I'm totally out of body. Number six, you lose track of time and you completely focus on the present moment. Wow, isn't it interesting that flow state, and this is from flow state, isn't it interesting that only by being in the present moment can you activate flow? I'm going to quote the great U2 again, what you don't have, you don't need it now. What you don't know, you can feel it right now. Thinking about not being prepared or thinking about not having the right tools to get the job done will never get you to flow state. 7, there's intrinsic motivation. Whatever produces flow becomes its own reward. Those games where I scored 30 points, a lot of them weren't tournament games or championship games, so there was no trophy at the end of them, but the intrinsic reward was the experience, it was the experience. And even if it wasn't recorded, the scores weren't recorded, I know that I felt good, I know that was fantastic. Now you can bring this into your work. It doesn't need to be sport, it can be as simple as finishing an email. Once you're in flow state, you can get it done. So interestingly enough, the idea of flow came into being as a result of research on happiness. So researchers were asking themselves what's made us happy and when are we most happy. And the results of this research realised that being able to enter the flow state, which is a very enjoyable experience, are key components of happiness. So how are we going to go out and get our next flow state? Very simply, find a challenge. Let's get to your next flow state. Let's find a new skill, whether it's mindfulness, meditation or yoga, which would be your new challenge. Develop those skills in order to meet those challenges, train and practice. Focus completely on the task at hand and make sure you've set aside sufficient time. There's no better project in the world than you. Set aside that time to enter flow state. And then monitor your emotional state. While you're there, notice flow state. Be part of it when you're with it. And the great thing about this is you can start this at 80, you can start this at 18. We can start this at 8. Flow state is you're given. It's how we're supposed to interact with the world. Not for short moments at a time, but really how we can operate daily. Something to think about. Get into your own flow state, and I can't wait to see you tomorrow. Until then, goodbye.